Hello, and thank you for being here today with us again. Um, we're going to be here with 3D printing, 3dprint.com's Unpeeling the News with Joris Peels, and we're going to again look at our newscast for today and the most important news stories that we're going to be talking about. We have 4 stories for you today. The fourth one is that we made a patient-specific model for a baby with an undeveloped cranium. So a lot of people, this article did quite well on social. I think a lot of people believed it was kind of like a helmet for the baby, but it was actually a kind of patient-specific model to help them plan the surgery. What happened is a baby was born in Poland without a fully developed occipital bone. The brain tissue was partially exposed. A company called Cygnus SA with partners made models that looked at the defect in the skin and the skull, and that was apparently very important for the initial problem and also just later reconstructive surgery. Now, what I think is the notable thing about this news, apart from the human interest element, which is very strong here, is that the printers used were from 2 different technologies. So they used vat polymerization and powder bed fusion printers working together. And I think we don't often do that. We don't do that enough. We don't enough look at both technologies. So I think, to me, that's very important that happened. The other thing is that they didn't use high-end systems. They used a FlashForge Photo 8.9S, which was $600 printer or thereabouts, and a Sinter Lisa Pro, which was around $14,000. And I think being able to use low-cost systems in these kind of applications, making it very much more accessible, could be what hospitals do for these types of models. It could be for these types of models that hospitals really look at, specifically lower cost for these kind of models, and will specifically look at lower cost materials and systems. Another thing that maybe we hadn't really considered, I know I hadn't thought about this enough. I always thought about people using low cost computers or 3D printers to compete with the higher cost system. But of course, it's very logical. You can also use a mix of like really low cost systems, like in this case, the FlashForge system, and then also a Sinter system, which is like a $14,000 system. So a combination of kind of medium cost systems and low cost systems could also get you the desired solution. So the number 3 example we have today is that Sprintray is working with BEGO on resin. So BEGO is a true pioneer in 3D printed dental, implants, crowns, bridges, everything really. They were one of the first companies in that market with 3D printing. Really, truly, BEGO's a truly visionary company, and they did an amazing job in making powder bed fusion metals possible for crowns and bridges and stuff, making tens of millions, I think easily over 50 million parts, just that company. And then what I think is even more exciting and interesting about this firm is that they then pivoted to the saying, you know what, we're going to offer resins, and we're going to offer resin printing systems for use inside labs. So essentially competing with themselves and competing with their own effort. Sprintray, on the other hand, is a dental printing provider company. They make dental printers, post-processing system, drying chambers, curing chambers, washing stations, software, kind of a one-stop shop for dental 3D printing. And what they've done is they work together on the Sprintray crown, which is ceramic-filled resin for custom restorations. This custom restorations and permanent and semi-permanent restorations is a really big burgeoning area in dental 3D printing. So it's a timely effort by both these companies to bring this on the market. We're also seeing a lot of investment in dental, and not investment like from VCs, there is VC investment obviously, but it's investment by dental labs. It's investment by individual dentists. It's investment by people putting their money on the table to buy systems. And personally, that to me is a really good sign. Is a healthy market. And what we're seeing in dental is that lots of companies, from Forum Labs to DWS and Vision Tech, all these guys are developing end-to-end solutions and are developing really very customized solutions for really very particular workflows or very particular applications, from trays to orthodontics to whatever. Like we're using the Vita shades in this case, where you could match bigger shades with crowns to get the right color. And it's really very, very integrated effort. We're not just making a box and throwing it over a fence. We're really, like, these people are really engineering what dentists and dental lab technicians want. So that kind of application focused approach is a really very yeah, healthy one, I think, for us. Um, it's also uh, it's also important that we take a step back and say, wait, what is going to happen to a company like Sprintray? Because we're all kind of assuming that there'll be kind of a big dental field and they'll stick to this. And then at one point they'll be sold to Dentsply or something like that. But what if Sprintray starts making dental solutions and then makes a solutions for orthopedics or a solution for dental or medical models, right? What if they take their expertise in making these single solution things and then take adjacent solutions and roll these out as well? Could that happen also? That would allow the company to get more scale, allow the company to grow perhaps much quicker. And that would be a strategy worth taking a look at if you're a Sprintray. So, but of course, if they didn't, the focus just on serving that one community and serving that their needs is it helps kind of like focus your entire effort into making something that's very worthwhile for your customer. The number two item is Prelis Biologics raises 35 million, specifically for their 3D bioprinted lymph node model. So Prelis has a two photon lithographic process. But it realized, I think, quite early on that the path to getting a fully functioning bioprinting technology working is a really, really long one. So, and the reason I'm quite a fan of Prelis, or I've been following them and Poetis and a couple of other bioprinting firms for a long time, is because they seem to have come up with very worthwhile business models on the path to bioprinting. So the path to bioprinting is very, very long. It's going to take a long time before you have a product. It's going to take a long time before your customers have a product if you're making the printer. So what Prelis has done is really focus on this lymph node organoid idea to develop an organoid where you can, for drug discovery, much quicker test, much faster, test out medicines and develop medicines much faster. That gives them the drug discovery market where a lot of spending going on in that market and a lot of things happening, and that could give them a sizable amount of revenue and let them grow or even be acquired and have a whole lifespan as a company in that just gigantic drug discovery market. What is more than that, they have this vision of this externalized human immune system, an immune system in a dish or an immune system in a petri dish. It's often referred to. That's then you're not just saying we're just making one organoid for one organ system or one drug discovery platform or one possible group. We're saying, no, we can leverage this technology into lots and lots of different organ systems in order for us to really accelerate all drug development. That's, of course, the kind of stuff where all of a sudden investors start to sit up and take notice. That's why, well, so far they've raised in total 64 million. And the investors they have is Khosla Ventures, True Ventures, and some pretty big names here as well, which is a good sign. Now, the reason it's really, really relevant is I think a couple of years ago or last year even, 35 million wouldn't have really made us really take note a lot. We're getting used to a lot of companies making raising a lot more money. But now, in the current investment climate, in the current uncertainty climate, if you will, about all economic indicators, this kind of a thing is actually, very notable because one would think that maybe companies are going to shy away from the really long, really kind of far off innovations, and so it's really comforting for the bioprinting industry as a whole that Prelis has been able to raise this amount of money. The number one news item for today is the 3D printer actuator mimics human movement. This is a research project by the Italian Institute of Technology, IIT, and they've developed an artificial muscle. It's a 3D printed actuator. It's made with a flexible resin. And it's monolithically made, so it's like made out of one material, one part. And that whole actuator mimics the way that the human hand moves. So that's already very good from a manufacturing perspective, that we could make something that mimics the movement of the human hand that's made out of one material, one print production process, and one part, um, one component. But what also is happening is that they're combining these 18 or so of these actuators to mimic a lot of different movements of the hand, which is in and of itself points to this being a kind of development where if we can improve the actuator, we improve lots and lots of different motion control, motion type of elements. And so far they've proven that, or they've shown that 1 A-gram actuator can lift 8 kilograms. And that performance-wise, that could lead to very, very exciting results, not only in orthopedics or types of things with human beings to augment their hand thing, but also, like, well, first off, we could make things to replace hands of those people that don't have them, right? We could also augment your functioning of hands through any kind of like additional hand kind of machine. And this could also be a very relevant discovery for robot grippers and grippers of any kind in an industrial setting, cobots, robots, that kind of thing. Overall, this is a wonderful movement forward, not only because this development, but think about all sorts of other complex assemblies that can make really highly functioning machinery out of one part, one material, one machine, that we could be 3D printing for all sorts of other uses. So that's what, in that sense, is very, very inspirational to me. Well, thank you so much for being here today. And thank you. I hope you enjoyed it. Tell others about this, and tell us about the 3D printing news Unpeeled with Joris Peels, and have a great day.